Let's go! Hey! I did not see you standing there. This is kind of awkward. Well, my name is Josh. I'm the host at the BitBlock. I was just about to go save Princess Peach from Bowser, but I'm guessing you guys are here for the site's detailed video review for Super Mario 3D Land, right? Alright, well that's more important than saving the princess. Let's actually do the review instead. So Super Mario 3D Land is pretty awesome because it is the first built from the ground up 3D Mario game on a handheld system, so I think that makes it pretty special. It's developed by Nintendo's Tokyo team, who you might know from their work on Donkey Kong Jungle Beat on the GameCube, or of course the two Super Mario Galaxy games. So I think these guys have definitely proven themselves to be really talented individuals. Super Mario 3D Land is going to be out here in North America on November 13th, 2011, and it's going to retail for $39.99. And of course, it's a one-player game. So there's a lot to talk about here. Let's not waste any more time. Let's waggle our Tanuki tails into the BitBlock's detailed video review for Super Mario 3D Land on the Nintendo 3DS. Okay, so the basic gameplay here is actually kind of interesting because the main idea is that Nintendo wanted to combine 2D Mario with 3D Mario, and so it kind of pleases both audiences, I think. There's definitely a larger audience for 2D Mario games than there are 3D Mario, so I think, 3D Land could be that bridge between both types of players. So what are some of the ways that it combines 2D and 3D Mario? Well, first of all, the camera is definitely different here. In a 3D Mario game, you can manually adjust the camera and it follows directly behind Mario. Here, however, it's a lot more like a 2D Mario game in the sense that the camera is always locked in one position and it will follow Mario around. So it's really nice not having to think about the camera and how to control it and anything like that. So that's one way that it kind of combines both genres. You definitely get some interesting camera angles as well. Sometimes you just have a basic angle, which is sort of a top-down view, but angled. Sometimes there's a complete top-down view, which is really fun because obviously stuff comes up at the screen. And then there's other times where Mario will be walking towards the background and the camera will be following behind his back. But it's definitely, you can tell that the camera is something that combines both types of games. Another cool thing is that they've taken the flagpoles from 2D Mario games and they've implemented them into a 3D Mario title. And you might think, wow, that would be kind of hard to jump on top of a flagpole in a 3D space, but it's actually quite easy. It's not that challenging. They've set it up to where sometimes you'll walk up to blocks and you'll jump across it in sort of a side-scrolling fashion. Other times you'll be falling from the sky and you have to land on top of the flagpole. So it's really cool to see the flagpoles implemented into a 3D Mario title. And then the health is definitely taken from 2D Mario games as well. In a 3D Mario title, you generally have like 3 to 6 times that you can get hit. But in 2D Mario games, you start off as Little Mario, you get a Super Mushroom, you're a Super Mario, and then if you get hit, you go back down to Little Mario, and if you get hit as Little Mario, you die. So that's been taken from 2D games and put into 3D Land. And I gotta say, I like that a lot more than what we generally see in 3D Mario games. I like running around as little tiny Mario in a 3D game, and so I think that's definitely a huge improvement. I hope they keep that for future 3D Mario titles. Another thing they've done is they've combined the overworlds from 2D Mario into a 3D game. So in Super Mario 64, you would run around the castles and jump into paintings to enter levels. Super Mario Galaxy, there's the observatory. Galaxy 2 has Starship Mario. But here, it's just all one side-scrolling, simple map. You have little cute, cool 3D models of the levels, so you know what you're getting into. You press A, you jump into the level. It's very, very simple. You can jump into levels very quickly, and I think that that's exactly what you would want in a handheld game. It's very pick up and play. And then one more way that they combine both types of Mario games would be through the controls. So you have the simple controls that you would see in a 2D Mario title where you just run around and you jump, but you can also run, you can perform somersaults, you can duck, you can do backflips. All the crazy moves you can do in a 3D Mario game have been put into Super Mario 3D Land, but you don't necessarily have to use them. So if you're more of a simple player, you're not that good, you can just work on the basic controls, and then maybe as you get better, you can get a little bit more tricky, and you can try some risky jumps to get into platforms to collect secrets. So there are a huge variety of ways that Super Mario 3D Land combines 2D and 3D Mario, and I gotta say, it does it really well. I think this is going to please both types of Mario fans. Okay, so naturally it would not be a Mario game without a bunch of crazy, fun power-ups to mess around with. So we see the return of many different types of mushrooms. We have 1-up mushrooms, super mushrooms. There's even the poisoned mushroom, which will pop out of a box and follow Mario around and try to cause all sorts of trouble. The Fire Flower also makes a return. It plays more like the Fire Flower would in a 2D Mario game, as opposed to Super Mario Galaxy, for example. They've also added a brand new power-up, though, and it's the Boomerang Flower, which enables Mario to suit up and throw a boomerang all over the place. It's essentially giving you the ability that the Boomerang Bros have in past Mario games. Remember them? They're really annoying. They throw boomerangs at you, and they've caused so much trouble for me in the past. So now it's time to get revenge on them. The boomerang suit is cool, though, because obviously boomerangs return to you after you throw them. So what you can do is, before Mario grabs it, you can jump over the boomerang, which will take out enemies behind you. So if you want to get really tricky, you can just keep jumping over it to take out just a bunch of enemies. So it's really fun to mess with. Sometimes Nintendo adds new power-ups that I think don't really work out too well. That turtle shell in New Super Mario Bros. For the DS, I thought that was kind of stupid. But here, I think the boomerang suit works very well, and it's tons of fun to play around with. It's a good addition to Mario's huge collection of power-ups. But the boomerang suit is cool, but the biggest new addition, I think, and it's not even new, it's returning from past games, is the return of course, the Tanuki suit. A lot of fans probably consider this to be their favorite power-up, and so it's pretty exciting to see it return in Super Mario 3D Land. It's a little bit different, though. You can still spin to take out enemies with your Tanuki tail. However, you no longer have the ability to fly all over the place. Instead, the Tanuki suit is used to momentarily hover in the sky. So some fans might be disappointed that you can't fly, but within the context of Super Mario 3D Land's design, it wouldn't make sense to fly all over the place. So I think hovering is a nice take on it. It still works, it's still fun, and, you know, look at Mario. He's freaking adorable in the Tanuki suit. There's no way you can't love it. There's also a Super Tanuki suit. Like, if you're dying a lot in a level, maybe you're not too good at the game, you can use the Super Tanuki suit. It kind of acts like a star, and sometimes it'll even bring you to the end of the level. So that's sort of a nice addition for people who might not be too good at the game. And then finally, in relation to the items, you can store an extra item on the Nintendo 3DS touchscreen, which is basically all the touchscreen is used for. You just touch the item's icon and it'll pop up and Mario can grab that. So kind of nice to have two items at your disposal. Super Mario 3D Land is one of, if not the best-looking Nintendo 3DS game. In fact, I would say it's probably one of the best-looking handheld games that I've ever seen. It doesn't look quite as good as the Super Mario Galaxy titles on Wii, but it comes pretty close. It's kind of like a lower resolution version of Galaxy, which, as you can imagine, is really impressive for a handheld system. Everything is very clean, it's colorful, it's soft, and everything is also really well animated. Just to give you a little example, I was actually kind of wowed by the fact that when a piranha plant spits fire at you, it literally puckers up its lips. I don't know why, but that's something that kind of stuck with me and I wanted to point out. But yeah, especially in like Bowser and all the characters, just really well animated. Everything pops, looks great. But I want to say, in terms of visuals, this might be the first time 3D in a 3DS game has actually enhanced the gameplay by a considerable amount. It's not just for the wow factor, it's not just a visual thing, I think it also helps the gameplay. I've noticed when I was playing in 2D, I was falling off cliffs a lot more than if I had the 3D on. So 3D definitely makes it easier to judge distances and see where objects are in the world. And I think it's also very obvious to see that the team that worked on 3D Land throughout the entire project was consciously aware of the fact that they were making a 3D game. From a visual perspective, you'll see so many little things like fireflies in the sky, there's levels that have bubbles all over the place, there's lava that comes up at the screen when you're looking down on it from a top-down perspective. It's just, there are so many little visual details throughout the entire experience which shows this isn't just a typical Mario game in 3D. This is a game totally built around 3D, and I think that's one of the reasons that the visuals are so gorgeous, especially for a handheld system. Okay, so as far as the soundtrack goes, I would say Super Mario 3D Land is definitely more relatable to New Super Mario Bros. Wii than it is Super Mario Galaxy in terms of the music quality. That's not a bad thing necessarily. I think, you know, the typical side-scrolling Mario games have great soundtracks, but you're not going to hear anything that's orchestrated, for example, in Super Mario 3D Land. I do have a little bit of a complaint with the soundtrack, though. They reuse bits of music from the Super Mario Galaxy games. Probably like 4 or 5 tracks in 3D Land were just directly ported from Super Mario Galaxy. And if you're like me and you've played those games for an insane amount of time, you might be a little tired of hearing that same music, and it is a little disappointing to see that, you know, here we are, like 3 years later, a new Mario game is still using the exact tracks from some past games. Not a huge complaint, because there is a lot of new music here as well. Sounds a lot like it would be in a new Super Mario Brothers game. But, yeah, there's definitely some catchy tracks. It's a good overall soundtrack. My only complaint is that I'm kind of tired of hearing certain bits of music. Now, as far as replay value is concerned, there's a lot of stuff to do here. There's a total of 8 worlds and 5 stages in each world, and then there's an additional boss battle, which would take place at Bowser's Castle or in an airship. So there's kind of like 6 stages in each world, and I don't know, there might be more than 8 worlds. There might be considerably more than 8 worlds in this game. Guess you'll have to find out for yourself, but I just said that, so I guess it kind of confirms it, doesn't it? Anyways, there's a lot of worlds, needless to say. There's a lot to do here, a lot of content. There's also some additional things you can go back and do. For example, Toad item houses will pop up on the maps. You can jump into those and grab yourself an item, like a Tanuki suit, boomerang flower, whatever. And then when you jump out, they disappear, so you can't just keep abusing that and reusing it. And then there's also these brand new mystery boxes, which are these tiny little boxes you jump into. There's some enemies inside of them. You have to defeat the enemies within a time limit. It's usually 10 seconds. And then after you do that, coins will shower down. You collect all the coins and you're really happy. That's also a good way to get an item as well. You can exchange mystery boxes via Street Pass with another player. If they've been playing Super Mario 3D Land, you guys will exchange mystery boxes. It'll show you their Mii, and so that's kind of cool. I've actually never seen anybody via Street Pass yet, so I can't tell you how amazing that is, but I'm sure you guys can let me know. Another form of replay value is something we've seen in past Mario games. They're the star coins that you have to collect. There's 3 of them in every stage. By collecting them, you can then unlock future levels. In fact, you have to have a certain amount of them to progress at the end of each world. So it's a good idea to try and find all of those. They're hidden away through the worlds. Sometimes they're easy to find, but hard to get. Like maybe they're off on a distant platform and you have to figure out how to get over there without dying. So it's really fun and adds some replay value to go back and get all the star coins. And as far as replay value is concerned, it's just fun to replay through these levels. It's like a 2D Mario game mixed with 3D elements, so just going back through these stages, even after you've beaten them, is tons of fun to do. Alright, well boys and girls, that is Super Mario 3D Land for the Nintendo 3DS. Like I said, it's going to be out on November 13th here in North America, and it's going to retail for $39.99. Do yourself a favor, write it on your Christmas list to Santa Claus, or go out and pick it up yourself. It's an excellent title. You know, I think it's not just a great handheld Mario experience, it's a great Mario experience by any standards. I think it's the first time I've played a 3DS game where I really felt like the 3D was adding something other than visual wowness. And I definitely think Super Mario 3D Land is a reason to run out and pick up a 3DS system if you haven't already. The BitBlock is rewarding Super Mario 3D Land with a well-deserved 9.5 out of 10. If you guys have any more questions about the game, feel free to stop by this post at thebitblock.com, ask away, and somebody will get back to answering you. In the meantime, I gotta go save the princess and waggle this tail in Bowser's face.